A top city official in St. Paul was forced to resign today. Now you're about to see why in this 5 Eyewitness News investigation.
We spent weeks watching crews who were supposed to be filling potholes, but what we found will more than likely make you angry. The undercover video speaks for itself.
Bob McNaney has a story that made us wonder who is watching these crews, and the answer apparently only we are.
As cities promised to fill potholes quickly, we were watching crews in Minneapolis and St. Paul at work, or in the case of St. Paul, crews sometimes barely working.
It just seems like as soon as you finish one, you'll see 10 to 2,500 more.
That's a St. Paul city worker complaining that despite their non-stop work, it would take months to make the needed repairs.
We're trying to get them, but we're short guys too. Yeah, the economy, they took guys from us.
But quickly we noticed the work was hardly non-stop. For weeks we watched St. Paul city crews. We saw this two-man crew on back-to-back days. They started their shift by stopping at this convenience store. One day they spent the first 30 minutes of their day off the job, but on the clock. This four-man crew sat in their trucks for 35 minutes doing nothing to start their day. We watched. Then they filled 5 potholes, and then they pulled into a holiday store for a 35-minute break. In the 4.5 hours we followed this crew, they filled just 32 potholes. How would you describe the roads?
The roads, I've never seen them this bad before.
Jules Beck was on a pothole crew we watched.
I just know we get our asphalt out there, and we've been going gung-ho.
Gung-ho, and away they go. To work? On this day, Beck's crew spent 35 minutes working before taking a 45-minute break at this holiday store. Back to the job for an hour, then 2 hours and 15 minutes for lunch. 2 more breaks after lunch. And so by day's end, this crew actually worked 3 hours and 5 minutes, and they took 3 hours and 20 minutes off. Crew members make an average of $23 an hour. So on this day, taxpayers paid the 4-person crew more than $300 to grab coffee. More time was spent away from filling potholes than filling potholes on this day. Is that the best you can do?
No. No, it's not.
Do people deserve more than that?
Oh, yeah.
The tax dollars
Heck
being
yeah.
spent, motorists,
Yep.
citizens.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain to people that we watched all day and you folks took more time off than you actually were filling potholes? St. Paul pothole crews work for St. Paul Public Works Director Bruce Beasy. We showed him our video.
Disbelief that someone would approach their job that lackadaisically to spend more time at a convenience store than working when the need is so clear. This kind of behavior cannot stand. It stops today.
An hour later, Beasy had ordered 125 Public Works employees into a closed-door meeting. As he put it, to lay down the law. We watched as the trucks rolled in. Then this memo to workers telling them how they will, quote, rebuild the public's trust.
But for now, there's going to be no convenience store visiting, no going to restaurants for your break. If you want food on your break, if you want coffee or beverage on your break, you bring it with you in the morning. You buy it on your way into work, but you're not doing it on my time.
Monday morning, Bruce Beasy resigned as a direct result of what we uncovered.
There is no one out there that is madder than I am right now.
In more than 30 hours over the 6 days we watched St. Paul crews, we even noticed a supervisor looking at what they were doing. What kind of accountability is that?
If it takes us putting GPS devices in these vehicles to make sure or mapping it or going out after every day and checking on their work, we're going to figure out how we can make sure that this never happens again.
Never once on any workday did we see any city crew adhere to their contract, which allows 2 15-minute breaks and a 40-minute lunch.
How does it get to this point?
This is why I'm so outraged, and why I think anybody looking at this should be outraged. It's like, Jay Leno joke.
Coleman says the workers' actions are a betrayal of the public's trust.
The fact that they abuse the trust, the fact that they would think that they could get away with this, to me it just says that we've got to send a very, very strong signal. We will reassign where necessary, and we will fire where possible.
So the Public Works Director is out, but that hardly answers other troubling questions like how closely are these crews actually being watched, and why did it take our story to show city leaders what was really going on.
And Bob, I know what it's like out there driving in St. Paul. I mean, it's bump, bump, bump. We're still driving over potholes. Is that ever going to change?
It is, but it's terrible. And the reality of it is that city officials acknowledge that we are driving longer on those horrible roads because the jobs just weren't getting done. The workers weren't working. There's a ton of follow-up. We're already getting emails and phone calls about this just because of what we've shown earlier today. We're already back undercover watching crews. We'll have more tomorrow.
All right, look forward to it. Thank